I get great distress from my penis. And well, just trust me, it's recording, and Ollie is taking up more screen real estate than everyone.
You're gripping it too tightly. Does he say that to them? You want to use a bit of cocoa butter on that.
Kimberly.
So they say they got great distress from their penis.
That's what they say. Those are the words they say. Their penis gives me stress, I mean, my penis gives me anxiety because it's so heavy to carry around all day. But that's you know.
Yeah, it's heavy. Gives me backache.
It's my burden.
It's giving me arthritis in my knees from all that lifting.
And knocking against him. And welcome to yet another episode of the Free Speech Podcast, coming all today to proudly present. And welcome to another episode of the Free Speech Podcast, proudly presented by High Point Care. For all your CBD needs, use code 3SP for a 10% discount on all your purchases. Today I am, as ever, the mad lad of jihad. And to my left, he is formerly controlled opposition, but now, once again, Mr. Hate Speech. It's Mr. Leo Curse.
Non-crime hate instance to everybody.
And making his Free Speech debut, it's NICO YEARWOOD, everyone. It's Ollie Horn. Ollie Horn, welcome to the pod. Thank you for joining. Ollie is a friend of the pod. He is very fat. He's aware of that. Don't worry about it.
He's getting treatment.
Yeah.
Sandex.
Also, I look more fat on screen. In real life, because I'm tall, I look less fat.
How many screens you got on you right now, Ollie?
This is the worst podcast we've ever done.
No, we've done some really shit podcasts, man.
Oh yeah, we've done some really shit ones.
At least if it is, you can blame me.
Oh, anyway, when are you coming back? Because it's shit doing the podcast like over telephone or.
I'm back on. Oh, actually, so I'm back on March 20th. By which point Elsa will be pregnant with another man's baby, which is exciting. And then this podcast is proudly brought to you by High Point Care for all your CBD needs.
Oh God.
Use High Point Care's CBD oil as a natural Viagra.
CBD.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm coming back then. It's going to be good, baby. I'm back. I'm going to be back. The shows have been going good. Actually, someone came up to me yesterday in the pub. I'm not doing a show. I went, Darius. So obviously I ignored him because I'm antisocial. He said it again. And it was a Free Speech Pod listener. He went, I listened to the Free Speech Pod. I was like, holy shit. Then I ran away because I'm antisocial.
I had a group of lads. I was getting off the tube, and I think it was Hammersmith, and a group of lads were getting on the tube, and they all went, gas bombs!
Yeah, we need to bring gas bombs, but actually we need to go into business with Free Speech or High Point Care and make gas bombs official CBD gas bombs when I get back.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Leo, do you wish you were in Australia? Do you miss this?
Yeah, I wish I could get my family to move out to Australia, but like all my work and stuff is here at the moment, so I can't really do it.
GB News is on TV here in Australia. It's shown here.
Yeah, we've got Australian listeners and viewers. So get people contacting me from Australia, and I've got there's people in Thailand. Stephen in Thailand. I'm trying to think who's in Australia. Nick in Australia watches it.
There's a few Australians who watch it, and Canada.
Right. Oh, maybe I can transfer to Australian TV at some point.
You know what? I think Australia's got a much nicer.
I want to be in Neighbours. Oh man, Australia's the best. It's the absolute best, and also they're not. Because the thing that worries me about Europe is we're just gradually, like we're a culture and civilization in decline, and we've lost sort of what it is. So we've got no national pride, we've got no pride in Western liberal democracy. We think it's awful now. We're letting all these sort of sort of Weimar level degeneracy happen with drag queens going into schools and all the rest of it. And you know, I think children mutilating themselves is like a sort of a symptom of this like loss of faith in ourselves.
I mean that is happening in Australia as well. Just so you're aware. But it's sunny here.
Maybe it was a bad example. But anyway, it's fucking sunny.
Yeah, it's sunny. Listen.
It's
I
sunny.
can deal.
I'd rather have degeneracy.
When it's sunny, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
Listen, look, here, you don't know if the tits have been cut off by a surgeon or bitten off by a shark. And in many ways, that's the question that you want to be asking. It's like, what's that? You don't want to be a boy anymore. Take a swim in the sea and keep your legs open, and then you'll be a girl in no time. That's a dick-eating shark.
That was Darius' nickname at boarding school. Dick-eating shark. Talking of the decline of Western civilization, did you see that 4 pupils were suspended from a school in Wakefield after a copy of the Quran was damaged?
I did not see that. I think I saw an interview with some woman asking people on the street, should we be allowed to burn the Bible? And they were like, of course you should. It's freedom of expression. They should be allowed to burn the Quran. What? No, that's insensitive and cultural.
Yeah, exactly. This is, man, like Western civilization is so lost itself. We're just elevating everybody else above ourselves. And yeah, like just.
So what was the actual story?
Self-flagellated. So this story, basically, these kids were playing Call of Duty, and the kid that lost, as his like forfeit, as his dare, he had to bring in a copy of the Quran to school. And he's this like autistic kid. He's like, I don't know how old he is, like 14 or 15 or something. So he brings this copy of Quran into school, and they didn't burn it or anything. A kid stood in the playground and read from it. And then it fell out of a bag and fell into a corridor and got like mildly scuffed, but nothing. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It looks fine, man.
Wait, can I just tell you something? Wait a minute. So if you lose at Call of Duty, your dare is to do Speaker's Corner in the playground. That's what your dare is. You're gonna do Speaker's Corner in the. Man, at my school, we used to take pages out of the Bible and use it as Rizzlers. We did that as well.
not even with tobacco. We did it with tea bags. We'd make cigarettes out of tea bags and Bible paper.
Let me tell you, there's no better Rizzler than the New Testament, John 14:17, the best Rizzler of all time.
But yeah, so this copy of the Quran got slightly scuffed or whatever. Doesn't like some of the pages are a bit, but it looks pretty much fine to me. I'm not a book expert, but anyway, the rumors went around the community that they'd been desecrating this Quran and stuff. So obviously everybody lost their shit, and instead of like pushing back on it and saying like, no, wait a minute, like this is Britain, we don't have blasphemy laws, just calm your jets. The 4 boys were suspended from school, and I think they're still suspended. It's been a week, they're still suspended. And the police went in and investigated it and decided that the boy was guilty of a non-crime hate incident, which is this nefarious sort of 1984 Orwellian term. The autistic kid. Is this what?
Is this a Scotland thing, the non-crime hate incident?
No, it's in Wakefield, in Yorkshire. So it's actually not far from the Batley Grammar School, where the teacher had to go into hiding after I think he showed a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad in a classroom discussion about freedom of speech, and it was obviously done sensitively and all the rest of it, but still, like, that guy's had to go into hiding, and his family are still in fear for their lives. And look at Salman Rushdie, you know what I mean? Like 30 years on, he gets stabbed in the eye. Like, this stuff's serious. What just baffles me about it is, like, instead of pushing back on this sort of this hard line totalitarian ideologism that wants to just like introduce. I mean, we basically introduced a de facto blasphemy law. The authorities and all the people are like, oh no, we'll do anything to accommodate you. Oh, please. And then and still invite more of them into the country. Now we've got 43,000 people on terrorist watch list. And okay. It's like, why the? But let me people fucking mental.
Let me make some points. One, Ollie's somehow disappeared, but maybe that's for the good of the pod. Two,
why here's the thing. Rude?
Oh, you're back. Why did you go black?
Well, do you know why? Because I was reading about this non-crime hate incident, and I'm genuinely
all right,
shocked.
well, let us know.
So
okay, shut up.
Right?
Well, shut up so I can talk. Well, let me say my points to Leo, then you can say your boring law points.
No, it's really interesting.
No one's interested in your boring points. The thing is, I don't blame the Muslims for this. I blame the Christian leaders, because the Muslims are like, oh look, we're friendly. Fuck with our Bible, we will fuck you up, and they don't change. But we're like, but now look at what they're doing in the Church of England. They went, oh yeah, well God's they them, and yeah, we're gonna have drag queen church mass now, drag queen church, literally Church of England. So I mean,
your average Church of England service is just a vicar, with like fake boobs and a rainbow wig on, wiping his ass on the Bible, and that is happening at every Church of England church right this instant.
But this is where I think your anger is misplaced, right? Because I understand why you're saying, oh, how comes they can get? First of all, I don't know if they'd have done that to the Bible, would they have also got suspended? That is the real test, right?
No, they wouldn't.
Well, if there's
they obviously wouldn't.
Well, if there's 4 kids in the Wakefield school, go make some rizzers and kick the Bible around and let us find out. But yeah, I agree with you.
They didn't kick it around.
Well, I don't know, whatever they did. But if we had the blasphemy laws, but we should be angrier that our democracies, or the UK, the West has allowed this to happen. Because you go to Saudi Arabia, there's no churches. You go to Qatar, they had a dry World Cup. Imagine that, a dry World Cup. But there's everywhere you go, there's a mosque on the corner. And listen, my dad's Muslim, right? But I recognize that we need to, the UK, for example, needs to be more militant on its own cultures and customs. Like when you see people like, oh, BAFTA's so white. It's a fucking white country. Obviously, what were you expecting?
Also the ad break isn't so white. The ad break is like, fucking, you're lucky. If there's one white person, they'll definitely be gay, or they'll be in some, advert for some bad. Like.
But my point is, it's ridiculous, because like, if I look at the Senegal national team, right, I'm not expecting to see a mix of colours of football players, right? They're Senegalese, the whole team's black, right? Because they're fucking Senegalese. That's the makeup of the country, and people are just. People, companies, corporations in power have allowed this to happen. So the fact
want it. They want it. The people who are in power want it to happen because, mass immigration means cheaper workers. You're basically importing workers who will do the job for cheaper, and also you don't need to pay to grow them from a baby up till 18 years old.
No,
we know this firsthand. We're migrant comedy workers in Australia, and we're undercutting the locals. Leo, so I didn't know about this hate crime, hate incident thing. I've just checked the West
non-crime hate
Police
incident
website. Listen to this, right? They define it as a hate crime is any criminal offence. This is the interesting part, which is perceived by the victim or any other person to be motivated by hostility or prejudice. So normally in law, the test is a test of fact, right? The judge has worked out that the motivation. So, for example, if to take sexual assault as a good example, right? Certain types of assault, you get longer in prison, or you get a tougher sentence if it's sexually motivated, right? But that's not based on the victim's understanding. That's based on an objective test. Right, so it's not like the victim says, "I think they fancied me," and that's, in my opinion, good law, right? So this is actually quite concerning. Like, I didn't really know about this. That if the victim says, "I think," and what's interesting, right? It's a person's sexual orientation or perceived sexual orientation. So by this, if I said, "I'm quite flamboyant," right? I think that person was being mean about me because they think I'm gay. That is enough, according to the West Yorkshire Police, to pass the threshold of a hate crime. And I don't think that's good.
No, absolutely. And if it doesn't meet the threshold of actual criminal behaviour, so if they objectively can't prove a crime took place, it's still recorded as a non-crime hate incident. And there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these happening. And there's a famous case with Harry Miller, who's a former police officer himself, who retweeted a limerick that was deemed to be transphobic or whatever. And the police investigated. They've turned up to his work, real intimidatory stuff. Because the thing is, even if they can't prosecute the actual crime. The process itself is the punishment. So they turn up at his work, they question him on all the rest of it, and he took them to court, and he said, this is ridiculous. Now I've got a non-crime hate incident on my record. If anybody does a background check on me, it's going to show up in any HR department.
Shit.
Yeah,
so
they show up. Fuck. Yeah, so it impacts you for the rest of your life. It's basically just the same
as having a criminal record.
Pretty much, yeah. A caution or something like that. It's the same kind of thing. It's still going to show up on background checks, even though you don't even need to convince a judge and jury that anything's happened. It's all it's just this thing the police can put against your name.
This isn't good enough for the perpetrators, nor is it good enough for the victim. Because for the victim, having someone record a non-crime hate incident, that's not closure, that's not justice, right? Yeah. And for the perpetrator, this is not good enough.
But here's the thing, though, Ollie, right? Sometimes with you see so Leo's brought this to your attention, but if I'd have just said this and you couldn't fact check it live, you'd have been like, oh, this is nonsense, this isn't really happening. But these things are happening. So even for the gender ideology, you were like, oh yeah, but there's a threshold. There's literally no threshold. So when we go, we sound like mentalists. It's like it is actually happening, but it's happening so subtly that they make you. It sounds so crazy, but it's happening. So like in Scotland, the law they're trying to pass is, you say you're a woman, you get all the access and all the rights, right? Which is why all that controversy has happened, right? With let women speak, etc. And then with this law, non-crime hate incident, if you had to go and check, someone who just doesn't care and they hear it, just think, oh, that sounds absolute nonsense. They don't believe it. So there's a reason why, it's important that, we bring this to attention, and it's not always, oh, it's all crazy. It's actual things like this is happening.
And do you know what's really interesting about this? I read Andrew Doyle's book, The New Puritans. Is that what it's called?
The New Puritans. Yeah, it's about how the religion of social justice ideology took over Western civilization.
He's quite an impressive intellect. He really is.
Yeah.
I think lots.
Didn't he go to your alma mater?
I think he went to Cambridge.
Oxford, yeah. I think he taught at Oxford. Right. Anyway, look, I think a lot of the book's narrative, sometimes you can just get carried away with it. But anyway, generally, I thought, he's obviously put a lot of work into it. Makes some good. A really interesting point that he made that I hadn't considered is, I'm generally a bit more, I suppose conservative is not the right word, but I'm not as, I don't care as much about these issues as you do. I don't think as much as you guys do. But a point that he made, which I'm really, really taken by, is changing the law is really hard, right? But changing language is easier than changing the law. And if you want to change how the law bites, right? You either go through the legislative process, you get some kind of consensus amongst the population, you get MPs to vote on it, right? Or through 1,000 cuts, you change what words mean. And statutory interpretation for a long time in British history has been about, what a family means, right? So say, for example, certain family law, we've just changed the definition of family to modernise it, right? That's arguably a good thing. And an argument which I hadn't really considered, and I do think it's it's valid, is that when we're, for example, talking about things like sexual orientation and then changing that, broadening that to sexual orientation and perceived sexual orientation, or, expanding religion to include non-religion, or, expanding race to just be any ethnic background or anything you identify as. And then also, expanding transgender to be those who don't hold, for example, a gender recognition certificate or whatever, right? I do think it is quite interesting that I'd underappreciated quite how powerful the kind of policing of language can be. And I think that one of the things that you talk about a lot is the kind of the policing of language and the changing, certain words you can't say, certain words you can say, certain words have a different meaning depending on who's using it. And I think that's something
the whole idea of
spectrum can agree.
Well, the whole idea of hate crime legislation is it's about words and feelings and intentions and stuff. Things that are very difficult to assign a sort of objective truth to. So like you say, it's somebody's perception, and you're taking some words. So you take a racist slur, and you're like, oh, this is a word, so it'll summon demons if somebody says it out loud. You know, so it's basically like a sort of witchcraft law.
I mean, that's
Darius
no, I've been listening. I think it's actually, you make interesting points. I mean, this is why I think, for me, I find it so interesting, because I see it's a slow, draconian curtailing of our laws under the guise of, and actually in the book New Patriots, is always under the guise of safety. Whenever you see that word, it's for your safety, or it's to be safe and make people feel safe, you just know it's like a slippery slope to take things away from people and mold things to make it better for other people against other people. So, yeah. Also, Leo, hold up your left hand, Leo. Why have you got a tag on your shirt? You're returning it.
I'm wearing it for 3 weeks, and then I'm returning it.
I respect.
No,
that.
I'm not. I just haven't taken it off yet. It's brand new. I wore it last. I wore it
You'll
last
be proud
night.
of me, Leo. I needed a projector.
What did you do
in Adelaide, and so I used Amazon's free rental service.
Good.
Amazon's
good. They
generous
deserve
return.
it. I've noticed companies try and rip you off all the time. Like, I was down at Waitrose, I got 3 packs of nappies. They were supposed to be on offer, and I rung them all through, and they didn't go through on the offer. And they weren't even on the offer. They weren't like cheaper than Boots. I was just getting them in Waitrose because it's more convenient. So companies are always trying to screw you over. If I did that to them, it'd be shoplifting. If I went in and like took stuff and like said, "Oh, I'm gonna pay for this," that'd be me stealing from them. But for some reason, they can do it to me, and it's not stealing.
Yeah, those fucking fucks. They do that all the time, actually.
For this is,
wait, no, I haven't. I'm sorry. I'm furious now. It's just clicked in my head. It's just, wait a minute. Yeah. That's happened to me. I've not got the deals. They've shoplifted from me.
Yeah, they shoplifted from you.
They've shoplifted from me because I can't be bothered to change it, to moan about the 50p. You son of a bitch.
And I guess they can say, "Oh, we're not culpable because you rang it through yourself, you know, because you're working as a cashier." So
yeah, but sometimes you ring it through, it still doesn't come up. And
no, totally. Or you know what they do sometimes? Like there'll be all the cans, the cans of mixed drink or whatever. This happened to me. I was going on a picnic once, and all the cans are like gin and tonics, rum and cokes, all the rest of it. So I got and it was like 6 for £5 or whatever it was, whatever the deal was, 5 for £6, whatever. And so I got I got them to buzz them through. Then I was like, wait a minute, this is way more than it should be. And the woman's like, oh, this is this particular one isn't in the deal. And it's like, it's the exact same. It's the exact, and it's sitting with all of them with the sign there saying, and they always do this. They'll put like a packet in the meal deal thing. They'll put a packet of chips or whatever that isn't in the fucking meal. So then you ring that, and then the whole deal's fucked. And they're deliberately trying to trick you. And if you don't check, they're shoplifting from you.
You get 3 meal deal items, then 1 item that's not in the meal deal, and they ring it through with the least expensive item gets the benefit of the meal deal credit, and the more expensive item doesn't. I think that's criminal.
Right. And especially when it's something that if you took it through and rang them through in 2 different batches, separately, you'd be able to get it cheaper. It should always be the if you can ring it through, it'll be cheaper. Then it should apply that price, because otherwise, a savvy person is going to ring it through, make it cheaper.
I signed up to a gym here, Revo Fitness, and you have to give them a month's notice to quit. Obviously, I didn't give it to them. So I emailed her, so I gave you the notice, went, oh, you have to do this in store. I said, yeah, I did. So, oh, you have to sign the form. And I did. You've got the hard copy. Then, listen to obviously I didn't do it. She came back and said, it's not paper, it's done on an iPad. I went, are you accusing me of lying? Because I'm lying. And they didn't want to
accuse you of lying just because you're lying.
It was unbelievable. I said, it's Revo Fitness. They accused me of lying. I said, are you? I said, she said, you would have signed
just
it on the iPad.
Just because you're lying?
Yeah, just because I signed. I said, what? Yes, I signed. Yes, she said. You said you signed the paper. I said yes. When I say paper, I mean iPad. Obviously, you better believe I'll walk back with the fucking Tesco worker to the shop and show them the sign on the thing, and then realize I'd made the mistake and be like, "Oh fuck you, you son of a bitch! Why'd you care?"
Why do people care so much? Same kind of thing happened to me this years ago. I was going when my dad lived in Bicester, so I was getting the train back, and I went my credit card, my debit card was cracked, and it wasn't working in the machine, so I knew it wasn't going to work. There wasn't a ticket office there; they just had the machine, and so I thought I'll just get a ticket on the train. I'd got a ticket on the train so many times, and so I knew my credit card wasn't going to work in that machine, and the guy, the ticket officer came down. I was like, oh, the machine wasn't working with my card, and he's like, oh, that machine doesn't take cards, or that machine's out of order or something. So you didn't try to buy a ticket, And I was like, well, my car's not working. He's like, oh no, I'm gonna issue you with a penalty fine and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, why are you being a dick? I just said, why are you being a dick? And then he was like, that's assault. That's assault. You've caught it. It's like, man, it wasn't assault. I just said, why are you being a dick? I didn't even say you are a dick. I said, why are you being a dick? And he's like, that's assault. When we get to our destination, I'm going to get the British Transport Police. They're going to be there, blah, blah, blah. I was like, the British Transport Police, the most fearsome. Oh, they're going to bring their SWAT finger to wag at me. You know what I mean? Like, fuck me.
Not the super ticket inspectors.
Leo,
so scary.
So you know what I did? You know what I did? Shut up, Ollie. You know what I did? I got up at the next station and just waited 10 minutes for the next train. And the next guy didn't even fucking didn't even give a shit. He just sold me a ticket.
Oh, we went to a water park with Kyle, the king baby, and we got to the front of the line, and there was this fat fucking nerd water guard, and he was like, "You have to take your bracelets off, right?" And I've got 2 of them off. So obviously I took one off just out of spite. But you've had 2. Oh no, I didn't. You had 2. Oh no, I didn't. Then he goes, yeah. So I took the other one off because I was holding up the line. Then he goes, you have to wait till I say go. So obviously I just went straight down it. As I went down it, he told the lifeguard at the end to tell me off. And then apparently he's on the top of the thing go, does anyone know who his name is and where he lives? Asking like he's the police. Like, what the fuck are you going to do?
Fucking hell.
Send the police around to my house. So then I went back.
Were you wearing a wristband and a water slide? This is a serious crime in Australia.
But then I went back, right? And he's like, well, I need to know who you are. I said, I'll tell you who I am. I'm Darius Davies, and you can watch my show at 9:30 at the Perth Mess Hall. And I advertised my show. It was quite funny.
Something that Leo taught me is you can always ask them to fill up your chips. Like if you order chips at McDonald's and it's not full, you're allowed to just say, can you fill it up, please?
Yeah, you can ask for more stuff. You can ask for free stuff as well.
You know what? You can say,
the trouble. You know the trouble with Australia is like half the people are descended from convicts, so they're kind of wild and they like fighting and stuff. But the other half are descended from prison guards, so they want to know your name and address if you get on a water slide.
I got a joke. I said, I don't know why what your ancestors were sent here for, but I think it's for the crime of being fine and probably rape. It was funnier in the show. That was rubbish. That's Ollie's joke. Ollie's a shit. Ollie's fat. Ollie's fat.
No, don't just bully me.
Yeah, I have to because Leo's not laughing at my mean jokes. So listen. When my jokes fail, I lash out at people. Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
So I'm lashing out at
Leo,
you.
Darius and I were fondly reminiscing of 4 years ago when Darius decided to spite himself by sulking his way out of a barbecue. He had a falling out with you.
I remember that.
Oh, what happened?
No, it was you.
Remind me, I can't remember this.
Well, I don't remember.
Because we were staying in those. Me and Darius were staying in these like student halls things because they were like kind of cheap and you could just walk down to where the comedy gigs and stuff are. And yeah, so we're going. Ollie had arranged this barbecue. Was it a barbecue or a trip to the thing? No, I think it was a barbecue round at the place where you're in now.
Because I think we had the kids show straight after.
It's great. There's this like swimming pool, all this nice food and stuff. And then I went to get Darius to because I was about to go and get in the Uber, and I was like, Darius, you coming? He's like, nah. I'm in a feud with Ollie. And so you stayed in that, in the student halls, you get this tiny little breeze block room, and it's like sweltering hot. Sweltering hot.
Yes.
So you stayed in that horrible sweaty box instead of coming to the barbecue and frolicking.
Yes, I spited him.
And then we turned up to the kids show, right? And then that was the kids show where I made that kid cry, right?
Yeah.
And I told you not to touch him like that.
We kept shouting out, and I said to him, and you were stood at the back of the room, and I was saying this to you, and you knew it. I said, listen, sometimes I know that people say mean things, not because they want to be mean, but because it's their way of asking for a hug. Is that what you want? And then he starts bawling his eyes out. He comes up to the stage, runs and gives me a hug. And then I look at the back of the room. I said, Darius, I forgive you.
Yeah. I didn't accept it.
Yeah.
I was
crying in my arms.
Just for the clarification, this is a fat little child that looked at Ollie and saw what his future could be, so burst out crying. I did not cry. I would never cry, and I will spite a barbecue. That's right. I'll spite it.
Have you ever cried, Darius?
Man, you know what? I lost emotions since about the age of 10. It's kind of bad. I should probably go to therapy or
Leo,
something.
can I talk to you? I was reading an audition script.
I went to therapy, but then I was lying to the therapist. It was just a waste of his time, my time, and more importantly, money. Because the therapist like, "Are you lying to me?" I was like, "Yes, I'm lying to you." Complete waste of time.
Leo, Darius had a script to read for an audition, so he came round to film it. And
I got asked to do an audition for some BBC show, which I'll never get. But go on, just to prove.
Well, anyway, we were going through the lines, and Darius wasn't actually.
This is
acting.
like, you're killing me, man.
So I said to Darius, "Why don't you actually act these lines?" And Darius was like, "What do you mean by act?" And I was like, "Well, think about what the character's feeling and say it how someone who's feeling those emotions would say it." And Darius, not even as a joke, said, "I don't feel my own emotions. Why should I do it for this character?"
No, I didn't. I said I don't know how to feel emotions. Yes, I'm emotionally stunted. That's why I'm toxically masculine. I'm sorry, it is. That's why I believe in stoicism. I don't think men should cry. Listen, you might be allowed to draw when a deep relative dies. You might be able to just nod your head and wistfully sigh and go, "Too soon," but no tears.
Yeah.
No tears.
I had a very emotionally traumatic thing happen
like
while
super
Darius
old.
on holiday.
If they're super old, then it's not even that sad. Like my grandma died. That wasn't that sad because she was super old. My granddad died. He was like super old, so it wasn't that sad. It was like, it was nice to see all the family and stuff at the thing. I guess if it's my mum or my dad, it'll be different.
Man, you know what's weird, right? When someone dies, is in all seriousness. Now, it's like when they die, and you think that's it, all of that.
Yeah.
And then even if they're old or they're young, and you just think, and that's it, and then they're dead, and it's just like, and it's like a week afterwards, and then everyone's like, and you'd watch it and be like, you son of a bitch, how can you just watch Netflix when this person's died? I don't know. It's just a weird kind of feeling.
And it's like Evil Knievel. Shut up, Ollie. It's like Evil Knievel said. He said there's no way when he got to the end of his life, he's like, there's no way a man can do all that stuff he does in his life and then just die. It's mad. It's like, Evil Knievel jumped the Grand Canyon. He had safes full of cash. He had a jet. He had a private jet, and he bought another private jet. So while he was on his private jet, he could look out and see his private jet. And then he just at the end he died.
And just died after all he'd done for climate change as well. What a hero.
After all he'd done, after everything that he'd done, all the money he'd made, everything, all the fun he'd had, the bones he'd broken, he just died. And he ended up, he was a golf swindler. He was swindling people on golf courses.
Wow. Oh, really?
Like playing, not swindle, but playing them for money and stuff. And like, I guess pretend to be worse than he was.
My name is
what a man, what a legend.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. None of it matters. This is far too close to getting to feeling feelings for me right now. Maybe we should change this to Dapper Laughs Mental Health Podcast. We should get Dapper Laughs.
Oh, it's called Men and... What's it called, mate? It's Men and Their Emotions or something.
We should do a Men and No Emotions podcast.
That's it. Men and No Emotion. Maine.
We will maim you.
Maine.
Fuck me, I'm getting lines on my eyeballs.
Yeah, because you're old.
I know. Well, how did that happen? I was young once.
You must be 41.
Well, that's a lie. And never say it again.
And you're going to be 42 in August.
Ollie's fat.
You can't do this.
Ollie, what happened to you? You lost weight and then you got fat again. What happened?
Oh, tell us about that injection drug you're taking, Ollie.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Is it fucking? Is it vegetable oil? Is it just fucking a litre of crisp and dry into the fucking what?
Actually, do you know what? Crisp and dry, I genuinely believe makes the best roast potatoes. There's even better than duck fat.
Really?
And actually, if anyone would know, Ollie would know.
Honestly,
did it come out crisp and dry?
Yeah, and also I think it's also a bit nostalgic because my nan used to cook with it. Talking of death, by the way, when my nan died, I felt really guilty that I didn't feel sad because the day that she died, I felt relief because the 6 months before her death, she was like completely vegetative. You know, she had no life. She wasn't enjoying her life. She was very undignified.
Well, at least you wouldn't eat her then, if she'd been
Vegified.
meatative. You're like looking at her being like too many vitamins.
Do you know what's really sweet? She had carers. She had Nigerian carers, and they knew me as the lovely grandson that brought the fried chicken. That's how they knew me.
That's racist. Sorry. Finish telling us your heartfelt story about your nan dying.
No. That wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about potatoes. No, I forgot now.
In arenas.
Oh no, the losing weight thing. So basically, I lost loads of weight, and then I managed to put it all back on purely through comfort eating. Like I knew exactly why I was comforted. I knew exactly why I was putting the weight on. So now I'm trying this thing called Sandexa, which is a pen, basically it was used
like
as a diabetic medicine. Yeah,
right.
And you take,
I heard about this.
A shot in the morning. It's an appetite suppressant, and Darius will tell you. I've only just recently started it. I think I've ruined it because I was told under no circumstances take it out the fridge, and obviously I was in Singapore for 3 days and I kept it in my bag, so I think I might have just ruined them.
Can I just say you took it today and you didn't really suppress much appetite.
No.
What have you eaten?
He had a steak sandwich, he had the onion soup, he had his breakfast. Then we were out. He went, should we go and get dessert? I went, you fucking just had a fucking suppressant appetite pen. And he went, oh, but the donuts. I was like, no.
Right. Okay. That's
like when were we in Borneo, Ollie? When we were doing those gigs in like Borneo or somewhere, or Brunei, and like we had dinner at the gig. They put on dinner for us, and then like we're out, and it's like, then you're like, should we go and get dinner? It's like we've had dinner. How many dinners do you need? We had a large dinner.
Right, but to be clear, because there might be people that are actually interested in this, it's called Sandexa, and the reason why I think it's good is, right, you know this, when you're gigging, especially when adrenaline's high after you've finished, like you just go for late night food. We went to this restaurant after the gig. I had a French.
So the adrenaline's going so you're not hungry. Adrenaline isn't a hunger thing.
No, but what I mean is like you're awake.
You know the fight or flight response. It's not called the fight or flight or have lunch response.
Or second dinner.
Yeah. Do you know what? But I think for me it was when I was like, I went through a bunch of shit last year, and I did just comfort eat. Like I do think it's like chemically linked. But anyway, I after a gig will comfortably eat a full meal, right? Just because I'm awake and it's like feels like the right activity to do.
You?
Right, you can laugh at me, but I'm trying to ask you a question. Right? What Sandexa seems to do is, like right now, after we've had that soup like 4 or 5 hours ago, I feel really full. Like if you just presented me with like a burger and fries now, I'd give it a go, but there's no way I could finish it without feeling sick, like I've overeaten. Whereas actually what I've actually eaten today is steak sandwich for lunch, French onion soup and a bunch of bread, and beer. Like I don't think I've snacked in between. And I've certainly not had like my other late night meal like I normally would after a gig. So I'm fairly confident it might work just to kind of stop that post-gig kebab or fast food or whatever. Because you just feel sick when you eat it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, that's Sandexa. Listen, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, so I think we should call this an episode. Listen, we've done something. Eventually, I'll be back in the studio and it will be back on order. Oh, NICO did try to join us, by the way, but he couldn't join us because he couldn't log in. Don't know why. Mooch couldn't join us because he's had a second child, and apparently just because you've got a newborn baby takes priority, which in many ways is selfish, but that is what it is. So, on that note, we're going to bid you farewell.
Is this your way of thanking me for joining?
Well, hold on a second. I'm a professional, baby.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Yeah, piss off, Ollie. Like and subscribe.
Thank you for joining and letting us bully you.
Yeah, this episode has been proudly brought to you by highpoint.care for all your CBD needs. Use the code 3SP.
CBDDs? What's that? What's a CBDD?
It's for clarity of thought, swiftness of
really?
talking.
You should fucking take some then.
I couldn't bring it in the Actually, I couldn't bring it in the country. I wanted to bring it, but I couldn't bring it in because it's so potent. It's got such high quality that if I'd even taken it through Kuala Lumpur, I would have been maimed and killed due to drug trafficking. But anyway, you can take it in England legally. So 3SP, use the code, you'll get 50% off. And when I say 50, I mean 10.
And that code is 3SP.
3SP. Ollie,
and you get 10% off.
You get 10% off, which is a lot, man. And it's high quality. They're all good. And
I've eaten it. I've eaten it myself, and it is high quality.
We're going to go in and we're going to make CBD gas bombs. Yeah, they give us loads of it. Ollie, where can they follow you? If anyone's stupid enough to want to follow you, other than in McDonald's, where can they follow you?
My Instagram's Ollie Horn.
They won't have to walk very fast to follow you.
That's
all right. On that note,
if you're in Adelaide, come watch my show this week. Oh no, this won't be out. It'll be
by the time Simon figures out how to edit this, we'll all be back. Like and subscribe. Bye.
You too. Bye.